Well, anyway, without further ado, we should talk about, where did we start? Maine, Cole Maine, Paddy Pimblett.
Probably.
Let's work our way up.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, let's start with Paddy Pimblett.
Yeah.
Well, there was some. Okay. Paddy was upset with me, and I didn't know it. And I'm not 100% sure where it came from. I was waiting for him to come to the media room to do the ESPN interview. And the PR person sent a text to one of the ESPN staff and said, hey, this might be a little awkward. Paddy and Anthony have beef. Well, they didn't tell me. He just sent a text back, said, oh, it'll be fine. Anthony's a professional. But didn't tell me. So just wanted it to be natural or whatever the conversation was going to go. And I could tell in the first 2 minutes of the interview, like Paddy was kind of staring into my soul. He was very cold, wasn't giving me a lot. And then he slowly started to open up, and we had a wonderful conversation. I thought it was one of the better conversations I had all day. Talked about men's health and how men need to talk, and his own struggles with depression, and how some of the media backlash and some of the fan comments, and it just bothered. It had gotten to him at some points, and they talked about his team maybe pulling him out and him battling through that. Talked a little bit about him being a dad and the kids, and it was great. It was a great conversation. So then he leaves, and there was people outside saying, oh, how did that go? Like, it went fine. It went totally fine. And then they say the same thing. Like, he was very upset with me, saying that apparently I sit on here with you and talk trash about him. And so I was like going back thinking about it, and I understand where I understand why he would be upset. I guess I just wanted to bring it up because I don't think that I've ever said anything about Paddy personally. I think that he's an incredible personality. I think he's great on the microphone. I think that maybe I've been critical of him and his style, and maybe where his ceiling is, and maybe where he could potentially end up, at the end of his career, how good he is or how good he isn't. But I've always thought he was a wonderful person. At least he's interesting and whatever. Personally, I think he's cool. But
but that's what we do, though. And we've never said anything bad about him. We've never sat here and said, he is a dickhead. I don't like him. He's awful. I thought it was a little bit crazy how he was so shocked that people disagreed with the Jared Gordon decision because it was such a close fight. When you're in close fights like that, it's kind of hard to be upset either way. But I was disappointed a little bit that he was so upset with me over just me doing my job at some points. It kind of shut me up, though. I mean, he looked fantastic in the fight. Well, that's just fighters are emotional people, and what we do, what we fight, that's our product. When we fight, that's our product, and that's what everybody judges. And most of the time, fighters take it personally. I've taken it personally. When I was fighting, I remember I was warming up and I saw on Fox Sports somebody predicting against me, saying I was going to lose the fight and things like that. It's just not natural, but for some people, a natural emotional response. And when he perceives that as criticism, which maybe it's fair criticism, when you're analyzing someone's performance and it's not necessarily a glowing analytical review, they're going to perceive that as criticism, which tells me that he cares. And I can respect that because I've been in the same position. But also, I think when he sat in that conversation, I think he expected me to be the very critical analyst in front of him that I am when I'm on the desk or when I'm here talking to you about the fights and stuff. I think what people miss sometimes is Anthony Smith, the analyst, is very different from Anthony Smith, the man that you're going to sit and have a conversation with. Well, because I can separate it and say, all right, let's just talk about the X's and the O's, the black and the white. But I'm actually very lovely if we're just having a conversation about what's going on in life and what's going on in the build up to the fight. And I think once that conversation started, he realized, like, I hate Anthony, the analyst, but I actually don't mind Anthony Smith, the man. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, that's just the way it goes, though, because if you're talking about someone's fight, and he's had massive popularity, and then all of a sudden that kind of dropped, and he's still popular because he got a massive pop on Saturday night, and after that performance, he's going to continue to rise and all the rest of it because he proved a lot of doubters wrong. But when you go up like that, and everyone's kissing your ass, and then it kind of drops a little bit, you are looking around and thinking, who the is to blame? And then you've seen people that have a podcast and they're talking about you, so you kind of subconsciously directing some of the blame at that person. And even me, I felt he was a little off with me, maybe in the fight meetings. I never addressed it or anything, but like, I don't think he looked at me once.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about that.
What do you think of his performance?
Yeah, I thought he was phenomenal. I thought he was great. I thought Bobby Green made a tremendous mistake, and that's probably because I think Bobby might have been trying to prove a point, which he failed in doing massively. The game plan for Bobby Green is obviously keep the fight on the feet at all costs. Don't go down to the ground with him because he's a jiu-jitsu guy and Bobby Green isn't. Yes, he can grapple. Yes, he submitted Tony Ferguson. But anyone that's been around MMA knows how to do a head and arm choke. And if it presents itself, you're going to take it. But probably because of some of the movements of Paddy, he wasn't feeling comfortable on the feet. I know the game plan for Paddy was to use a lot of kicks. He was being successful in doing that. Paddy was just kicking him. Bobby was stomping on the knee, that oblique kick or side kick to the knee. And that's all it was. And then he shoots. And I love Bobby, but we're going to do it. We've got to criticize it. He shoots a terrible takedown with his head down, neck exposed, asking to be guillotined, and that's what we saw. And the transition, what Paddy did, it was beautiful grappling. Went for the guillotine, transitioned to the triangle flawlessly. From there, went for the armbar. Armbar was deep. I mean, Bobby, I saw him, King, I saw him at the airport, arm in a sling because he was yanking on that arm. Problem is he couldn't tap because he was unconscious. So it was a really, really solid display of grappling prowess. I mean, that was high level stuff. It was seamless the way that he transitioned, which was impeccable. But because of a stupid shot of Bobby Green, I'm not taking away from what Paddy did. Far from it. Paddy he passed the test with flying colours. That was a sink or swim moment. I said leading into that. Well, he was swimming. He was in the deep end. He had the flippers on, the goggles on. He was jumping off the dive board, doing triple back somersaults and getting a 10 on the scorecards. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And you're right, Bobby made a massive mistake, but Paddy capitalized on it right away. It was like he was a dog on the bone as soon as he started the grappling exchanges. And Bobby's he hasn't been submitted since like 2008 or something like that. Like he's hard to submit. He's not an easy guy to grapple. So I think that you saying that, this was a sink or swim moment. It was exactly what this was. It was, are you good enough to be in the rankings at a shark, a shark infested weight class? Or are you kind of the popular guy that's everybody loves, but just maybe not quite at that level? I think that he passed it with flying colors, and there's nothing but harder fights moving forward too. So I mean, he's gonna have to keep passing tests.
I mean, he's number 15 now. I thought the call out was perfect. Renato Moicano makes all the sense.
I love that fight.
If you recall, Paddy's never called anyone out, right? He's never called anybody out ever, and I get that because he is really popular. So why is he gonna call someone out when everyone's calling him out and let them build their name off the back of his popularity? I get that, but now that he's ranked, then you got to start calling people out.
For sure.
Renato Moicano makes perfect sense. Stylistically, he matches up pretty well with him. Moicano ain't going to turn that down. Of course, he's going to get through Benoit Saint-Denis, which is not a given.
No, it's not an easy fight.
No. I'd say the winner of Benoit and Renato. That's a great next matchup for Paddy. And if it is Benoit Saint-Denis, I think he's ranked number 10 as well.
Yeah, so that's a big step.
Win.
That's a big step. Big win if you can get it.
Maybe too big of a step right now, but I guess we'll see. Yeah. Hey, you got the job done in what was it, 2-3 minutes?
Yeah.
Not a mark on the guy. No, he did phenomenal. Good job. And the crowd went phenomenal. I tell you what, he knows how to work a crowd, man.
Yeah,
he really does. I mean, this whole stupid shit.
Yeah.
Nina Drama standing there front row. She's doing it. Everyone's doing it. I'm like, Dana, don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't you do it.
He didn't do it. Everyone's standing there doing this, Could you imagine? Oh, God.